Harry appeared like everyone to the world that he was attempting to upstage his brother and the Earthshot prize by announcing his own cosplay royal tour of Canada. As a reminder, Prince Harry left his royal role 5 years ago, and yet still mimics and mimes being a royal and having to announce tours and visits and these sorts of things as if he is an actual working royal. But of course, took great offense to the idea that he was attempting to compete with his brother by announcing the trip at the same time and going about the same time. And he has once again blamed, get this, security issues. So we are going to do a little bit of a reality check today because I feel like that is sorely missing from the man who claims to be the Duke of Sussex. Probably cannot point out Sussex on a map or tell you 5 things about it, and yet is still considering himself a royal. Let's be real about this. So, guys, we are going to get into all of it today. But if you haven't been to Royal News Network before, my name is Brittany. I do provide compelling royal commentary. So please hit that subscribe button. I would absolutely love to have you back. And if you missed the latest edition of the Crown Report, it is currently up on the Crown Report YouTube channel. So if you guys want to check it out, there is a link up above there. And it's just so fun to go over what so many of the other royals are doing, especially the big stories with King Juan Carlos. There's so much going. I need to do a deep dive on that so incredibly badly, the former king of Spain. And then we also have Ingrid Alexandra. We have the knighting of Sir David Beckham yesterday. Very, very exciting things. So if you want to check that out, again, link up above, link down below, and feel free to check that out. But then we're back to here. And I feel like we're kind of in a hamster wheel, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And sort of the catastrophic collapse out of Hollywood that Prince Harry has had and his attempts to really, you could say, kind of reinvigorate his royalness, it's not going super well for him. As a reminder, as we said in the intro, Prince Harry left the royal family in 2020 with his wife, Meghan Markle. They gave out a statement. They said that we want to explore other opportunities in North America. Although they did also at the same time claim that they were going to reforge their own royal role. This is like if you leave your job and then tell your company, oh yeah, even though I've left this job, I still sort of liked aspects of it. So I'm going to reforge the role in the way I want, do it part-time, show up when I want to. And yes, please pay me a significant sum of money as well. That's what Prince Harry did. Because so on their manifesto, on their original site, they claimed that they were going to still be working basically for the Commonwealth. They were still going to be part-time working royals. And as we know at this point, that idea was firmly rejected, as it should have been. And what we see over the next couple of years is a man who's sort of spiraling, who had a couple of highs and yet also a lot of lows. And we have a man now who is directionless, confused, waxing on inanely about stuff he really is not qualified to talk on at all, like internet safety or AI or something. Harry is not an intelligent man. And so whenever he talks about these things, I just feel like, do you really know anything? I mean, and just last week, I didn't get a chance to cover it. Maybe we'll do a live stream about it with members. But he was literally told to sort of make fun of Americans, and I think he was too dense to realize that's what he was doing. So I think as Harry's sort of Hollywood career has completely and utterly flamed out, he has decided, I think, to whiplash and sort of go hard on this idea of him being royal and him being in many ways like his brother. But he is not. He is no longer a working royal. And what I mean by a working royal is a royal who represents a particular government. Basically, all royals work, but not everyone is a working royal. Big distinction. And then we also have the aspect of IPP status, or internationally protected person status. So this is a designation given to certain people who represent the government. So if you travel to a particular country outside your own, that country, if they have treaties and everything, is obligated to augment your security because you have been deemed an internationally protected person. Now, I would imagine this covers basically all sovereigns in Europe and their immediate heirs. So it doesn't cover everyone, because I don't think Princess Madeline had this status while she was in the US, and she lived here for like 5 or 6 years. I think it only really applies to direct heirs because you can't protect everyone. And it's ridiculous to have augmented security for everyone. Now, if a royal comes, let's say a working royal, and they're doing engagements here, a security operation will be provided for them, even though I don't think generally they would be considered internationally protected persons. So, this status, I think, would apply to Princess Anne. She's very far down the line of succession. And so she does get security when she goes on engagements, but it's not full time. And I don't think she gets it if she's doing a personal trip. Perhaps for a work trip, yes. Personal trip, no. So, keep that all in mind as we read the ludicrous, I mean, bordering on just sheer stupidity from Prince Harry's PR team of justifying why he had to announce his little day trip to Canada, because he's unemployed. So apparently he needs to go and like get somebody to pay attention to him. And he gets to go to Canada for like representing the Canadian Armed Forces. You have to excuse me. I'm still very, very confused why this guy who basically had a glorified, like, touristy tour of duty while in Afghanistan, was basically protected the whole time, barely left the bunker, was often seen playing video games. Yes, he established the Invictus Games, but I really feel like people give him way too much latitude for this. I mean, come on. I mean, there's a Warrior Games, like, this whole situation with the Invictus Games does not make him some sort of savant when it comes to veterans. Like, it's getting to the point where it's just getting weird, to be quite honest, because I'm sure there are many other people who actually had like real tour of duties who could actually be better. But no, this is not what we get at all. So here is the Daily Mail headline, which I think is good to go over here. It says Prince Harry issues defiant statement as he denies claims he was trying to upstage William by announcing pseudo royal Canada trip at the same time as his brother's 5-day tour of Brazil. Now, my understanding has been is that we've known where William's tour will be for a long time. We know sort of the locations, and I want to say we've known the dates for at least a couple of months. So again, keep that in mind. Put a plug in it. So let's see and hear the very defiant statement from Prince Harry, because, oh, no. He wasn't trying to upstage his brother by announcing this. There was something else. That was the issue. So in a statement, Harry's team blamed the timing on the fact that he is not afforded the same level of security and protection as other working members of the royal family. It means, therefore, that the time period in which we can release details of events is much more truncated than it is for His Majesty the King or the Prince of Wales. I mean, are we running the press shop for the stupid here? Harry is not a working royal. He is a cosplay royal who works. He's not a working royal. How do they not know this? Why are we trying to mime the fact that he's a working? He's not. He hasn't been one in 5 freaking years. I mean, they sound like idiots. They really do. Like, of course, they're not afforded the same level of security. He's not an important figure within the British monarchy in terms of the Constitution. He's a pain in the butt and I think undermines the monarchy, but for its future, he's not important anymore. That's just reality. And I think this dude can't stand that. I think Harry is forever going to be incredibly, incredibly angry that he was superseded by his nephew, Prince George, and then his niece, Princess Charlotte, and then his other nephew, Prince Louis. The reality remains in the royal system, regardless of what position you were born in, unless you are the direct heir, you will be bumped down the line of succession and you do become constitutionally more irrelevant as time goes on. This is just fact. And saying that somehow, because what they're doing here, which is so dangerous, is equating William and Harry. Well, Harry doesn't get the same treatment as William. But they're doing 2 different things, and they're in 2 different situations. Harry is essentially a private citizen. I mean, you just need this right here for Charles to strip the titles, in my opinion. Strip the titles. This man is going around claiming basically to be a working member of the royal family, and he's not. Like, What do you do to somebody like a doppelganger or somebody who is like trying to, again, steal aspects of your company or something? That's why they get lawyers involved and they get them the heck out. And Charles is just sitting there. This man is delusional. And his PR team does him no favors by saying something so incredibly stupid. Like, we know this isn't true. I mean, this is just a bald-faced lie. That's just a lie. And yes, maybe like for alleged security reasons, like, does anybody care that much to show up where Harry's at? Who's not a fan? Probably really nobody. Really, really nobody. Like, this idea, this somehow, this is gonna be like a huge level of security risk. I mean, think about Harry. Like, this guy must live in a state of absolute delusion, paranoia, crazy. And what's totally ironic is that probably his biggest risks are his wife's fans. Those are probably his biggest risks, are his wife's fans. And so he does this sort of crazy thing, and it's just become something that's really, really annoying. Because, like I said, he's not a working royal. He's not the same as his brother. Of course, he's not going to get the same treatment, nor should he expect it.
And guys, I should also offer here as well that when it comes to the scheduling, because Harry's team has known so far in advance about Williams, it really makes no sense why they're announcing this now, not earlier, not managing things a bit better. Because regardless of what Prince Harry thinks he's doing, what people are interpreting him as doing is trying to compete with his brother. And this has been a long-standing problem. So a smart PR team and a smart principal would recognize that and do everything humanly possible to always look like they're not trying to compete. But Harry, again, he blames everybody else. He blames security. He blames these other things rather than sort of acknowledging the reality, because what he's done over the years is allow us to see this competition he has with his brother. So every time he announces something or tries to outstage his brother or even his sister-in-law, it always looks like they're trying to compete. And this, again, is something Harry needs to avoid. And he keeps stepping in it. It's like he can't stop. And he can't blame anybody else for this but himself. The writing has been on the wall. Harry needs to adjust Harry's strategy, not let his PR team make such incredibly stupid statements on his behalf, because it does not make him look good.
Because what Harry has done over the last several years is be what I call a cosplay royal. He's putting on the mask of royalty in many ways. He's trying to use the same language as the royals, but he's not a working royal. And this dude cannot stop doing this. And it's just getting worse. And I think why this has happened is that as everything has gone sort of south in his professional career, all of his stuff with Netflix has flopped. By Harry and Meghan's documentary, Heart of Invictus flopped really, really hard. I don't think there's much interest in Invictus Games overall. I think that's waning quite a bit. I mean, the reason they got people in the butts of seats for concerts is by paying celebrities millions of dollars to show up. Like, that's basically how they did. They paid for the performances, and that's why people went. And then you also have, I think, the sort of collapsing relationship with Meghan Markle, the tensions over her social media use, which we've heard about, which I need to do in a separate video, the kids being on social media. And I think in just a general sense, this man, in order to, I think, live and survive, has had to rewrite a lot of his own history. And when you have to do that, I think too much, you just generally are really, really unable to determine when down is up and up is down, because you've so twisted yourself in multiple different ways to make life work, because life's hard without doing that, that things inevitably just become hard. They become difficult. They become challenging. And I think that's where Harry is right now. That's, of course, not to excuse his behavior, but that's just in part to explain it. And in reaction to all of this, I think, chaos in his life, his wife focusing on her business more than, I think, their family and him, he's trying to lean really, really hard on this idea that he's British and he's royal and he's all these sorts of things, when he literally attacked the most British of British institutions, which is the monarchy and its head, which is Her Majesty the Queen at one point, Queen Elizabeth II, and now King Charles III. When you attack those pillars, it's like you're no longer really British, and yet he's really trying hard to claim it, while at the same time trying to also seem really American, like, going to the World Series and wearing an LA Dodgers hat when he was apparently a fan of the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm like, who are you? And I think the problem is Harry doesn't know. And he's constantly, again, trying really, really hard to recapture some of his magic. And he just can't recognize the fact that it's just not going to work. So let's go ahead and look at as well today something that dropped, which is Prince Harry's letter talking about the importance of being British for Remembrance Day. The guy who went on television and had his wife, or didn't have his wife, but he watched as his wife mocked his grandmother with an exaggerated, like, medieval knight style bow. That guy, yeah, apparently, the bastion of Britishness that is Prince Harry wants you to know that he cares. So let's read. So this letter, and I'm not even sure where they published it or something. I've just found it on the Independent. It says, every November, the world for a moment grows quieter. We pause together to remember. Remembrance has never been about glorifying war. It's about recognizing the costs, the lives changed forever, and the lessons paid for through unimaginable sacrifice. It's also about honoring those who, knowing that cost, still chose to serve, as he abandoned the cause to serve himself. Yep, earlier this year, I was invited to Ukraine, Slava Ukraini, to spend time with friends at the Superhuman Center, men and women rebuilding their lives after devastating injuries. In the face of both military and civilian, I saw resilience, fierce determination not to be defined by what had been taken from them. They reminded me that bravery is not absence of fear, but the triumph of purpose over it. And again, this dude did not write this. He cannot even speak this well. There is a similar stoic spirit of self-deprecation and humor in Ukrainians that I recognize more than any other in us Brits. So he's writing it to the British, yet talking about the Ukrainians. Now, again, I know that the war in Ukraine has a lot more connection to, obviously, Europeans overall. They feel it more severely because they're obviously geographically closer. But at the same time, it's like a British service veteran can go, but I'm suffering over here in Lincolnshire or something, and you're talking to me about the Ukrainians that you got to meet because they somehow think you're a folk hero for sitting in a bunker and playing video games. Though currently I may live in the United States, which is interesting that he says currently, as if he's not really making his home there, that he may move somewhere else at some point. Because again, I don't think he's happy. Britain is and has and always will be the country I proudly served and fought for, and then tried to destroy under your wife's direction. Yes. The banter of the mess, the clubhouse, the pub, the stands, ridiculous as it sounds, those are the things that make us British. I make no apology for it. I love it. Really, Harry, it's really, really hard to tell. You've told us many times how much you freaking hate your country. So excuse me for not believing a word of this. And the banter of the mess, like, how much of the banter does he do? Like, this is just crazy. Says that same spirit lives in every member of our armed forces and the families who serve beside them. You need only to spend a few hours at the Invictus Games to feel it. Oh, because this is all about the Invictus Games. It's all about him. The Invictus Games, I feel like, is going down a very slippery slope because its founder is too, like, his identity now is way too wrapped up in the Invictus Games. Prince Harry's identity is 100% wrapped up in the idea of the Invictus Games, and this being, like, I think he's actually takes the stories that he hears sometimes and applies it to his own service in a way. Because again, we're not dealing with a guy with a full deck at this point. And again, I think some of that is just a defense mechanism to survive being around his wife, but still, it's kind of bad. So there you see courage reborn, camaraderie restored, and proof that service doesn't end when the uniform comes off. There are probably other places that do the exact same thing, Harry. Your organization is not the end all be all. It's not the savior complex thing that he thinks it is. I think it's dangerous for him to think that. In my capacity as their global ambassador, this week I wrote to families from Scotty's Little Soldiers, UK charity supporting children of Britain's fallen heroes. What about your wife? Does she write letters to them? Your kids? I doubt it. Every year, I'm moved by their strength. Sons and daughters who wear yellow and black scarves in honor of their parents, many of them marching proudly at the cenotaph this weekend. They don't march with bitterness, but with love and pride. Well, Harry, you are a man full of absolute bitterness, by the way. So, yeah, you could maybe take a lesson from those little kids, and you have a lot less to be bitter about. They carry forward their parents' legacy of service. He does not, even as their own hearts bear the costs of it. Because when one person serves, the whole family serves. And when one falls off, the whole community feels that loss. Oh my gosh, how dense is he? Does he not realize that when he was a working royal, when one person serves, the whole family serves? And then when one falls, like one, leaves and departs and then, puts the palace on fire on his way out, everybody there felt the loss. Again, that he doesn't see the irony of his words here is hilarious. Remembrance then is not simply a minute's silence. It's a call to collective responsibility. Harry has none. Not through sympathy, but through admiration and respect. He doesn't really have all that much from anybody. I've had the privilege of serving alongside men and women from all four corners of the UK, from Antrim to Ainsley, Lancashire to London, Wrexham to East Reading, Belfast to Bedfordshire, and beyond. I saw courage and compassion in the hardest of conditions imaginable, but I also saw how easy it can be once the uniform comes off for those who gave everything to feel forgotten. Oh, like you made your family feel forgotten, Harry. Again, not a super brightest guy. Our duty to them does not end when their service does. The protection they offered us must be returned through opportunity and respect for the rest of their lives. Oh, what about your grandmother, grandfather? Like, you should return the opportunities and feeling of respect to them, shouldn't you? That's not charity, it's reciprocity. Oh, like he knows much about that. They safeguarded our freedom. We must safeguard their future. That way we all benefit. As we would look around the world this Remembrance Sunday, and Harry is maybe once again utilizing a cemetery of American veterans to cosplay and stage a photo shoot like he did a couple years ago. And on the 11th piece, for those lucky enough to know it, feels more fragile than ever. Institutions built to protect it are strained, and for many, peace is not known at all. But I mean, like, how can he talk about any of this? He's not there. And he only hears from the handful of people who go to the Invictus Games. And that doesn't represent the whole by any stretch of the imagination. He says, Remembrance isn't confined to one weekend in November. It's a lifelong commitment to empathy, gratitude, and action, to be kinder, more united, and braver in protecting those before us fought to preserve. Oh my gosh, does he not understand? Empathy, gratitude, and action. Three things Harry does not exemplify: kindness and unity and bravery. Other things Harry does not reflect at all. So as we bow our heads this weekend, and as Harry staged a photo shoot in a cemetery, let us remember not only the fallen, but the living, those who still carry the weight of war in their body and mind, as he carries the weight of paparazzi flashes in his head, while his wife still makes him do paparazzi strolls, and the families who bear its memory in their hearts. If you live near them, knock on their door. Again, the irony. Oh, the irony. If you see them around, shake their hand. And if you feel so inclined, join them for a cuppa, like you did with your grandmother, according to Robert Jobson. You didn't show up for her favorite time of day, which was tea time. She had a birthday cake for your daughter, and you and your wife did not show up and did not tell her you were not showing up. You mean like that? Or a pint to hear their story and remind them that their service still matters. Oh, Harry, buddy, your poor heart. You haven't reflected any of this in your own life. You can't get up on there on your high horse and preach this. Give me a break. But Harry, again, I think, is leaning very much more on this British connection because everything else in his life has gone so crappily. He has a disaster, I think, of a marriage in so many ways, a disaster of a business, a disaster of a public perception, and he can't handle it. I think he's spiraling because I think he really thought at some point that, oh, people would just love him and his wife again. Or he doesn't even understand how they became so disliked in the first place. And we see this reflected sometimes in his interviews. He has no regrets about what he did to his family. His conscience is clear, he says, and he doesn't recognize where he might have done things wrong. I've always said, I think the royal family, I think they are, of course, broadly the victims, but were they perfect? No. But Harry here is the bad actor. He has always been the bad actor, and he refuses to acknowledge that. He refuses to acknowledge the fact that he is the one who screwed up everything. He wants to constantly blame other people when the only person he can blame, as ever, is himself. And it's so obvious he does not live in reality because he cannot see the hypocrisy of his own words and how he's not really British anymore. He's not really American. He is an unemployed former working royal, desperate to find validation and approval from a public that really just doesn't care about him anymore. And he just doesn't seem to get that. And the best he can do is go home where his wife is more concerned about her business and Oprah than she is about him. But guys, those are my thoughts as ever. What are yours? Thank you so much for watching, and I shall speak to you again very soon. Bye.